So, we apologize, my lord, that we're slightly late. We're still making copies. We're just waiting for accused number 1 and 2, my lord.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody who says instructions is number one.
Hello?
If somebody who says instructions to is number one. So it has to be that's what's
No. Anything else? Anything else to address the court misadjustment? Just repeat that. What can I get? If he wants to say anything, he must get him into more court. Don't talk to people outside.
As a court, please, my lord.
Yes, sir.
Well, firstly, we apologize for the delay in starting today's proceedings. Accused number 2 has just arrived. We confirm our appearances on behalf of the state.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
I also confirm appearance on behalf of accused number 1 and 3.
Accused number 1 and 3.
Yes.
And Mr. Msipin, and the competence management that I still appear on behalf of accused number 2. All right. Then,
The court please, my lord, I still confirm my appearance on behalf of accused number 4.
okay.
Just to address one issue, my lord, this morning I was phoned by my colleague, Advocate Mshololo.
Yeah.
She indicated that she had an emergency on her way to Pretoria from KZN, and she requested that I should stand in for her. I have communicated this with her client
Where did you phone you?
this morning.
This morning.
Yes,
Okay. Where's accused number
number 5.
5? Sorry.
Number 5, yes.
Have you discussed this
Yes,
with
I
him?
did.
Just confirm that's it.
Inkosi enkantolo ngithanda ukubuza la kuwena ukuthi ngabe nikhulumile yini nomnumzana uNqumalo mayelana nodaba likamama uMshololo ngoba naba engekho la enkantolo namuhla ukuthi umnumzana kumele la enkantolo namuhla. Yes, he confirms, my lord.
Okay, fine. Yes, Mr. Mnisi. Oh, sorry.
As the court pleases, my lord, the matter was adjourned to today for
Right.
the cross-examination of Brigadier Gininda by Advocate Mnisi. Advocate Mnisi is subject to confirmation by him, has indicated that he's ready to proceed. Just one aspect, my lord, we have prepared the new list of exhibits, and we just beg leave to hand it up. I just wish to draw the court's attention to paragraph 9 and 10 of the exhibit list.
What do you mean paragraph? Is it number? So
Yeah, number 9, yes, number 9.
Okay, fine.
My lord, there was a duplication of Exhibit J.
Right.
This is the statement of Warrant Officer Amanda Steenkamp, the facial identification expert,
Right.
as well as another Exhibit J, which is a forensic pathology officer Elizabeth Mukwena's statement. When we're annotating the exhibits, we allocated the letter J to both
Okay.
exhibits.
Is that the lady with
Yes, yeah.
taking the?
Yes, the facial
The vehicle
identification
stamp of-
expert, yes.
Okay.
We sent an email to my colleagues on the 26th of March 2025 and suggested that the statement of Warrant Officer Steenkamp should remain Exhibit J,
Right.
since extensive reference was made to it, and that the chain statement of Forensic Pathology Officer Ms. Elizabeth Mukwena,
Right.
who states that she received the body of the deceased at the mortuary, was initially marked Exhibit J, that exhibit should now become Exhibit K.
Exhibit K.
Yes, so hardly any reference has been made to that, and as we indicated, my lord, just merely a chain of custody statement.
Will you discuss it with your learned colleagues?
Yes, as I mentioned, we knocked off an email to them on the 26th of March 2025
Right.
at 12:13, and I can put the contents thereof on record if it's necessary.
No, no.
Yes.
If they are aware of the evidence of Ms. Mkwena, there's
Yes.
no problem.
Yeah, that would be Exhibit J.
If you change,
And
Yeah.
the admissions that they made,
which admissions are those? The ones regarding
that is the,
at the beginning of the trial.
yes, the admissions by the defense regarding certain aspects.
Okay.
That will also, I'm just looking at the that exhibit number of the admission. Anyway, paragraph 5 of those admissions refer to Exhibit J. So that will then have to refer to Exhibit K, but that's something that we can address with my colleagues as we go along.
Okay.
But they haven't indicated any objection, my lord. Just to, let's say, the main thing is just the renaming of the statement of Forensic Pathology Officer Ms. Mukwena to Exhibit K. That we mentioned on paragraph 10, or number 10 of the list that I've just handed up of exhibits.
Right.
So I'll start at paragraph J. Paragraph J is the facial identification report or the ID kit compiled by Warrant Officer Amanda Yvonne Steenkamp of the local Criminal Records Center, Protea Glen, dated 31 October 2014. I think the list of exhibits, I'm sorry, the list of formal admissions, Exhibit F. So, paragraph F,
Yeah.
of the exhibit lists, F raised that that Mrs. Forensic Pathology Officer Ms. T.P. Sintumule identified and handed the body of the deceased to Ms. Elizabeth Mukwena, a forensic pathology officer, Germiston, on the 27th of October 2014 at 7:30, and that the letter's affidavit is appended as per Exhibit K.
Okay.
So that is how the admissions must now read, my lord. Then paragraph 10, this exhibit that I've just referred to, Exhibit K, is the receipt of the body of the deceased, mark DR 2076/14 by Forensic Pathology Officer Ms. Elizabeth Mukwena, on the 27th of October 2014 from Forensic Pathology Officer Ms. T.P. Sintumule, and identified it to Dr. Steenkamp on the 28th of October 2014.
Okay.
Then paragraph 11 is Exhibit K1. Exhibit K1 is the affidavit of Ms. Elizabeth Mukwena, stating that Mr. Sifiwe Stanley Meyiwa pointed the body to her.
Okay.
Then paragraph 12, Exhibit K2 is a declaration by Mr. Sifiso Stanley Meyiwa, stating that he identified the body of the deceased to Forensic Pathology Officer Mukwena as that of Mr. Senzo Robert Meyiwa. Those are the only slight amendments, my lord. As I say, it doesn't really affect.
Yeah.
It's only exhibit, the duplication of Exhibit J that has now become Exhibit K. The rest remain the same.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
The defense, you're aware of the changes in nomenclature, not in substance.
As it is the court, Madam. In substance, I don't have any objection to the amendments, particularly as they relate to the numbering of the exhibits per se. With regard to what has been identified as a duplication, we don't have an objection there too on behalf of 1 and 3. However, with regard to the admissions, the state has indicated that we still need to discuss about that. I think we'll correct that as time goes along, my lord. Thank you.
Mr. Ramsey,
The same sentiments.
I have no objection, my lord. Thank you.
okay. We may start. Yes, Mr. Mnisi, if you are ready.
As it please the court, my lord. Morning, folks. Morning, everybody, and good morning, colleagues. Morning, folks. Morning, everybody, and good morning, colleagues.
What's that? I can't hear you.
Thank you.
You say?
I'm saying good morning, colleagues. Good
Oh.
morning, everybody, and good morning, South Africans.
Okay. Yes, Delegate, you are still under oath.
Yes, my
As you know.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
manje sakulungile kuqala ke umnumzana ngeke umsola uqala futhi senkantolo bekhumbuza ke umsola uqala ukuthi ngaphansi kwefungu.
Thank you, Walter. But maybe just before we start, this got nothing to do with the witness here. There's information that we requested from the state with regard to the AVL records of certain vehicles. I think we dropped them an email some time ago. We haven't received any response. It's just a reminder, though. Realize that it might take a while for those for that information to be made available.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Let me just correct that. We finished them the information. The information related, in essence, to vehicles, amongst others, the red Golf. We indicated to them that, and we finished them with a statement to that effect, that it was not fitted with a tracker, and they asked for AVL records for the Toyota Fortuner for the date of the 6th of June 2020, my lord, which we finished to them. Then there was also mention made of the BMW, the white BMW that was used. We received the statement over the weekend, and that is a copy that I mentioned earlier on that we were making, my lord. We just struggled to retrieve this copy. However, we have since made a copy thereof and furnished them to the defense.
Has it been handed over to the court? Because I remember that evidence. Is it Miss Warrant Officer who the lady was driving the white BMW?
It's Sergeant
Sergeant McCall.
Paula.
He testified that it wasn't fitted
Yes.
with an AVL, if I remember the evidence.
Yes, and we also drew the defense attention to the relevant evidence of Mr. Dupree.
To pray.
Yes, the AVL expert who did mention that the red Golf was not fitted with a tracking device.
Yeah. But the fact is, these exhibits were handed over to the defense as the trial was going on.
Yes.
So everybody has, am I correct, Mr. Mnisi? That you were handed those exhibits during the trial.
I think, but what we and the state are not on the same footing here.
Okay.
On the when was the last date again when it came here? On the 5th. Yes, on the 5th, the state indicated that the red Golf was not fitted with an AVL. And I stood up.
Whose Golf is it?
It's a red Golf that was used by Sergeant Mohula when they arrested accused number 1 and accused number 2.
Oh, I see.
And it is also so that we also requested the AVL record of the Toyota Fortuner for the date of the 6th of June that we received. And I vividly remember that on the 5th of May, I stood up and said, it is very funny that vehicles that are serving the same purpose, one gets fitted with an AVL and the other one does not get fitted with an AVL. And with that, I was referring to the discrepancy between the Toyota Fortuner and the red Golf. Subsequent to that, I specifically indicated then that it would then mean that we'll have to take the matter further. Upon arrival at my office, I penned an email to my colleagues and requested specifically the AVL records of the motor vehicle that was driven in the main by Mr. Buthelezi. From Metropolis, from Eguruleni Metropolis. I also mentioned some few names. I can't remember. Well, I think Mapumulo is one of them. Munaringi, the Bolisereng, Jonathan, Bongamanboy, and the Bobongani, because we could not get the AVL record of the red Golf that was involved from the beginning of the arrest of accused number 1 up until accused number 1 was taken to custody on the 31st of May 2020 at Fileria. As a substitute there too, we then requested the alternative AVL records of this motor vehicle that I've just requested here. We never limited our request to only the Fortuner, the red Golf, and the BMW. And in fact, I never requested the record of the BMW because we know that the BMW only got into the picture very late after all these accused were arrested. I mean, after accused number 1 and 3 were arrested, it would therefore have been a futile exercise for me to request those vehicles. So the follow-up that I'm making here is with regard to specifically the motor vehicles that were utilized by the Buthelezi, the Mapumulo, the Munareng, the Lisoreng, and the Jonathan, the Nyamanes, and the Yendes, and the Bonganis. All were involved in the arrest of accused number 1 and accused number 2. That's the information that I'm saying we are still waiting for the feedback there too. Thank you, my lord.
Well, that evidence is on record. Those police officers from Ekurhuleni Metro testified. They testified about the trip sheets of those vehicles, and they indicated that there are no records trip sheets for those vehicles. We can't take it further than that, my lord.
Okay.
I'm flabbergasted, my lord, that my colleague is saying that those officers testified that they said there are no AVL records. How would they have known that those vehicles are fitted or not fitted with AVL? Because they were just mere drivers or officers of those vehicles. It is for the first time that I hear that the Metro Police, when they drove those vehicles were never fitted with AVL. And I've read the record on the testimony of those witnesses. I did not come across such evidence, which is the reason why I requested the AVL. It will also be very surprising, my lord, that this AVL, that is motor vehicle, all of a sudden are also not fitted with AVL. They were not fitted with AVL gadgets. Therefore, we are unable to get their AVL records. It will be very sad, indeed, because this is central to the case and the cross-examination of this witness here, Brigadier Gininda, without which we will be very prejudiced, and without which we might not be able to prefer our defense the manner in which we would have had we had those AVL records. But I'm not inclined to take Advocate Baloyi's word that those witnesses said that those vehicles did not have AVL records, actually did not have AVL gadgets and therefore no AVL records.
What evidence is it on the records, Mr. Baloyi?
Yes, I mentioned specifically, about the trip sheets. They mentioned that those trip logs cannot be located.
Okay, fine. You'll discuss it further with your learned colleague.
As it is the court.
Yes, you start.
Thank you, Maros.
Right.
Let's not waste any further time. Thank you, Brigadier. In your larger part of your testimony, Brigadier, as we are unpacking your investigation, you referred on a number of occasions to what is known as the best practice. And I was sitting here and wondering what that could be. Do you mind to unpack that? As you said that in relation to the taking of the confession and the pointing out, and the arrangements that you did in relation to the taking of the pointing out, you kept on referring to what is known as the best practice. Can you please unpack that?
Bathi kunodaba ke la mnumzana kade ukukhuluma ke ngalo ukuthi best practice mhlawumbe asithi ke indlela enjalo ukusebenza ngayo lapha ngaphansi uzosiphuma uma ngaba nikhuluma ke ngodaba lokwenza ama confession futhi nedaba lokukhomba ke lapho ke manje kumnumzana umnisi ecela ukuthi usichazele malana nodaba loloko kabanzi.
Yes, my lord. So that statement, my lord, came as a result of whether could I have taken the confession myself or not.
Athi ke lo daba liqhamuke ngesikhathi bekasho khona ke ukuthi ngabe yena ke angakhona yini ukuthatha statement ngokwakhe noma confession mathupha.
And I know I do recall, my lord, that at some stage it was during my interaction with the late Mr. Mngomezulu.
Athi futhi kuyakhumbula ukuthi udaba lolo laqhamuka ngesikhathi bakhuluma ke mayelana bakade khuluma nomnumzana uMngomezulu osele washona.
And I've said, my lord, it is preferable that the person who is not involved in the investigation takes the confession as the best practice rule, my lord.
Athi uyakhumbula ukuthi washo ke lapho ukuthi umuntu ongabandakanyeki kudaba lwecala kumele ukuthi kube uye ukuthi othatha i-confession noma ke statement kungathathwa ke umuntu onegalelo mhlawumbe onesandla ke ekuthizeni icala aliphenye.
Not that I could not take it, my lord. As an officer, I could have taken it as well.
Atasukuthi yena bekangakhona ukuthi athathe confession leyo ke njengephoyisa ke kepha ke naye bekangakhona ukuthi athatheke i-confession leyo.
So it was in that essence, my lord.
Athi ke manje ke lolo daba.
Yeah, but what does this best practice entail?
Bafundazi ukuthi mana nale best practice ngabe iqukethe ini ke kuyona.
Which you're referring to the best practice rule. What does it entail?
Ngoba kade ukhulumike ngayo ukuthi i-best practice rule ke lekho ngabe kade yini equkethiwe ngaphansi kwayo.
But my lord, I just answered. We were specific. It was not a general statement. We're talking about the taking of a confession, whether I could take a confession or not. And in that specific explanation, that particular matter, because it was not a general statement, I said it is best practice that someone not involved in the investigation takes the confession, specifically in those circumstances, my lord.
Athi lapho ke ubaqeda ukuphana ke ngencazelo yakhe ukuthi ke uma ngabe iphoyisa ke eliphinyicala akumele ukuthi kube yilo ke elithatha i-confession, kepha kwamele ukuthi kube iphoyisa ke elinye ke elingenalo kulwazi malana nodaba lwecala ke la kungakho khona ke wathina ke udaba lolo ke i-best practice ke uma ke alibiza ke ngegama ke lapho ke athi nanoma yena kade kuyiphoyisa noma kade yena ke kuyiphoyisa ke esikhathini esiningi akumele ukuthi iphoyisa ke liphinyicala kube yilo ke elithatha i-confession, kepha kumele ukuthi kube iphoyisa ke elingenalo ulwazi necala.
Thank you, Brigadier. Maybe you don't understand me. When I say entail, I mean the following. Is it something that is codified? Is it written down? Number one.
Athi ke uma akubuza kumbuzo le ngabe mhlambi into ke ebhaliwe phansi abayiphasisa ngaphansi kwezomthetho.
My lord, as I've said, Nothing prohibited me from taking the confession, meaning there is no law, there is no rule that I'm aware of that says you can't take a confession under those circumstances.
Athi ngaphansi ke kwesimo leso ke akukho kade kumvimba ekuthizeni ke angathathi confession njengoba kade kuyiphoyisa futhi akukho kubhaliwe ngaphansi kozomthetho ukuthi akavumelekile ekuthizeni athathe confession.
It is a practice that enhances professionalism in the police and objectivity in what we are doing, my lord.
Athi kepha ke indlela abashishisa ngayo ekuthizeni benzeka amacala futhi indlela abayiphatha ngayo ngaphansi kwesiphoyisa ekuthizeni babize ke umunye umuntu ukuthi kube uye ke uthatha confession hayi ukuthi yena njengomsishi wecala kube uye uthatha confession.
That is that, my lord. Basically, is to ensure that you are professional in your work, and also there is fairness and objectivity in the officer that takes the confession, because he's not privy to the contents of investigation of the docket in particular, my lord.
Athi ke indlela abajwayele ukusebenza ke ngayo ke lekuthizeni ke ukuthi confession ithathwe kumuntu ke ongenalo kolwazi mayelana nokukethiwe ngaphakathi kwa docket ke lapho ke.
So in other words, it is a code of ethic that enhances what you refer as to professionalism and objectivity, I'm trying to paraphrase you, in the execution of your work as a police. That's what it means.
Athi ke umnumzana lapho yabuza ukuthi ngabe usho ukuthi indlela enivamile umsebenzi ngayo ukuthi nenze isithe umsebenzi ngendlela ke eqondile ke lapho ke nisho ekhonkhosini ukuthi wena ke phoyisa elisesha icala ungathathi confession.
My lord, it's something that you get taught, and I'm not so sure. I don't want to confine myself to say it's a code of ethics, because then if I'm referred to say where is it, then I think I may have a challenge. But I know it's a practice that is commonly taught, and it's advisable that we actually embark on it instead of taking the confession yourself.
Athi ke lapho ke indlela abantu basebenze ngayo ke futhi indlela abatshelwa ngayo ke futhi indlela abafundiswa ngayo ke ekuthizeni njengephoyisa ke kuseshicala la kumele ukuthi kube uthathe confession lapho ke kepha kumele ukuthi ubize ke amanye amaphoyisa noma elinye iphoyisa ekuthizeni kube yilo ke liba khona ke lithathe confession lapho.
But is this something that is only limited to the taking of confession, or is something that transcends throughout the execution of police of their duties?
Manje
I am saying, is this something that is only limited to the taking of confessions? I would also include pointing out. Or it's something that transcends beyond the borders of taking confessions and pointing outs. In other words, in each and everything that a police does in their course and scope of their duty, they should always bear in mind that there is this thing called the best practice rule, which you have just described now.
Manje ke umnumzana ummeli into thana ukuthayazi ke mfo afuna ukuyazi la kuwena ukuthi ngabe mhlawumbe lolu ke ligcinize ekuthizeni ke mhlawumbe mathatha ama confession noma ni bekhomba ke abantu khona lapho ke noma mhlawumbe into enijothi nenze ngaso sonke isikhathi uma senza kuphenyo lwenu lamaqala.
My lord, I think situations will differ, and it will depend what the officer or the member is faced with. In this particular instance, we're referring to a confession, and I answered it in that context, my lord, not general.
Athi lapho ke izimo ke zivama ukuthi zishintshe lapho zingafani ke kepha lo daba lolu yena bekaphendula malana nodaba le confession futhi akafisi ukuthi aphendule malana nodaba angalibuzi.
Brigadier, look, I'm asking about what you refer to as the best practice rule, something that you have already defined. Now, my simple question is this what you described as a best practice rule only limited to the taking of confessions and appointing us, or it transcends, it goes beyond the taking of confessions and appointing out and affect other related duties that police will do in the course and scope of their duties? In other words, in whatever police are doing, be it the taking of confessions or not, they always have to have in mind that there is this thing called the best practice rule. That's simple as that. I'm not limiting ourselves to the confession or the pointing out.
I think the witness has answered that several times. He said he can only comment on the best practice as far as confessions and pointings out are concerned, and he cannot bind himself as far as the other functions of the police are concerned.
Yes, Mr. Mnisi.
But that's not what the witness said. I think that comes from the statement. This witness says he can only comment about what is happening in a confession or insofar as it relates to him having taken a confession. Let us cut this thing very short, Brigadier. Do you know whether this thing goes beyond the confession or not? That which you refer to as the best practice rule.
Athi-ke sisinciphise udaba lolu ngaphambi silithathe silimikise emehlweni-ke noma ematheni usho ukuthi udaba lolu le-best practice ngabe yinto enenza ukweqela lapho udaba lokuthatha i-confession noma ukhomba-ke.
But my lord, it's difficult to answer that question because like I've said, and I've answered this, it will depend on a particular situation that a police officer is facing at the time, whether he can apply such a rule. So to answer generally will be a difficult situation. In this instance, I've said I've answered specifically because the question was relating to the confession, whether I could have taken it or Colonel Mboto could have taken it. And the answer was in that context that as the best practice rule, it is preferable that someone else takes it. So that was specific and the answer was specific. Generally, my lord, it's difficult because police embark on various situations and encounter. For example, if a police officer is writing an OP entry, how is best practice rule relevant in that situation? If they interview a suspect over the phone or somebody says there's a robbery in progress, how is best practice rule applied? So the situation differs. If we are faced with specific situation, then you can know how to react and what methods you must use to react to that situation, my lord.
Athi lapho-ke kuvama ukuthi mhlambi usho ukuthi iphoyisa amahlangane-ke nesimo ngoba kunezimo-ke ezahlukile amaphoyisa avame ukuthi ahlangane nazo-ke lapho-ke uma besenza umsebenzi wabo-ke lapho-ke futhi wazowabikisa washo khona njalo ukuthi malana necala leli-ke lapho-ke yena bekangathatha i-confession noma mhlambi ucolonel Mbutho-ke buye uthatha i-confession lapho-ke kepha athi esikhathini esiningi kuvame ukuthi lapho-ke kwehluke malana nesimo iphoyisa eselitholakele ngaphansi kwaso-ke uma ngabe selithatha i-confession.
Thank you, Brigadier. Let's proceed. Now you would recall that when I paused the cross-examination on behalf of accused number 3, I said we'll come back to some specific items. That's where I want us to begin before I get to the issues relating to Mr. Sibiya, accused number 1.
Athi-ke manje kumele ukhumule ukuthi ngesikhathi kade kubuza imibuzo la ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo-ke kunala kade watshela khona ukuthi athi simise kancane malana nolunye kodaba oluthize-ke lapho-ke kepha manje soqiniza-ke manje kulolo daba kade athize ucela ukuthi ume kancane ngalo ngaliphenduli-ke ngaphambi ukuthi aqale-ke abuze-ke imibuzo mayelana nomsola wokuqala.
Did you remember that?
Usakhumbula lokho?
No, that's not my recollection, my lord. My recollection is that we were done with accused number 3. The last aspect that was put to me was with regard to the book Ikabane. That is the aspect that Advocate Mnisi put to me. And upon me saying I've not read the book, and then he said he will not ask me any further. Insofar as I know, we dealt with accused 3. That's my recollection.
Athi ngokomkhumbulo wakhe-ke nacabanga ukuthi sesiqedile-ke mayelana nodaba lakamsola wesithathu-ke lapho-ke kepha-ke udaba elingakaze liqede-ke mayelana nalo udaba kade umbuza khona-ke mayelana nodaba lencwadi ebabethi Iqabane-ke lapho-ke kulawa athi yona-ke mnumzana uMnisi angekhe-ke besaqhubeka nokubuza-ke imibuzo-ke uBrigadier noma ufakazi.
Let me revive the memory, Brigadier. We were done with the cover. We were at a point where you had brought a number of documents here purporting to be warning statements. Others were from Pakistan, others were from Nelspruit, others were from all over the country. That's the issue that you were busy with. In the context of my cross-examination in relation to those documents, you are unable to give me certain answers because you said, I did not give you specific instructions to go and get certain information. And I said to you, I don't give you instructions. I'm not a state. It's a prosecution that is supposed to be guiding you on how to get those documents. And I said, well, it's fine. I will pause then, but we'll come back later on those items. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I hope your mind has been checked out.
Athi-ke umeli-ke fakazi malana nodaba-ke lencwadi leyo-ke babiza inigama noma babiza ngegama lokuthi Iqabane-ke besiqedile nodaba lolo-ke kepha nodaba lana okade abuza ngalo-ke imibuzo-ke malana nodaba lama-statement-ke la uqhamuke nawo uqhamuke kuboma Nelspruit lawa thathe kwindawo ezahlukene ke lapho ke lawa wena waphendula ngokuthi wena kade bengakutshelile ukuthi yini ekumele ukuthi uyenze ke mayelana nodaba lolo lwama statement kepha wena ke wakhetha noma mhlawumbe weza nama statement kepha ungazi ukuthi kumele ukuthi wathule kanjani noma mhlawumbe ukuthi kube yini eqokethwa ngaphakathi kwama statement bese wathena ke bekumele kube ukuthi ihlangothi lezombuso elukutshela kabanzi ukuthi thini kubele ukuthi kube yini oyitholayo noma bayibhalayo ngaphansi kwama statement lawo ke.
No, my lord, the context is not correct. What transpired, it is correct to say warning statements from different stations were brought to me, were brought by me, at the request of Advocate Mnisi, my lord.
Atufakazi kuyiqiniso ukuthi ke ama statement amaningi aqhamuka kuma station amaningi kwezesiphoyisa kade bemcela ukuthi akawalethela ngaphambi kokusenkantolo icela umnumzana ke uMnisi.
Then subsequent to one particular warning statement, my lord, of a specific station, that warning statement was brought in without an affidavit as to who gave that warning statement. And that is where the issue of instructions came in, where I said, but we're not asked as to where did we got this document. It was to produce various warning statements as it was in dispute that there is only one specific warning statement. So that part of instruction came in that context, my lord.
Athi ke pha kunodaba lwaqhamuka ngesikhathi kade eqhamukisa eletha ama statement ahlukile ngaphambi kwenkantolo. Udaba lwaqhamuka ukuthi ke kade khona statement esisodwa ngaphakathi kwe statement lezi kade ziningi ke ekade lengaphelekezwa ke uhlelo lwaffidavit. Futhi kula kwaqhamuka khona kudaba lokuthi ama statement kwamele ukuthi bawathathe ngendlela efanayo bese ufakazi washo ukuthi ama statement abawathathi ngendlela efanayo futhi ama statement ahlukile ngendlela wabhala ngayo.
Now, further to that, my lord, my position, which I've said then, and I still stand by it, my lord, was that there is no policy that says a specific warning statement should be used. I said there's no policy that says one specific warning statement is the one that is prescribed to be used whenever a suspect is interrogated or interviewed, my lord.
Futhi ukujobela ke impendulo yakhe washo ukuthi khona njalo ke lapho ke akukho ke umthetho noma umthetho khona ke vele ophuqayo ekuthizeni ke kwamele ukuthi istatement esithile ke basebenzise uma ngaba ke sebadala ugebengu noma uma ngabe sele bethwesa ke umsolwa icala.
And these different warning statements from different stations, my lords, were brought to show exactly that different stations in the country uses different warning statement forms whenever they take down a warning statement.
Ejobela futhi ingazelo yakhe uyasho khona ukuthi ama station ikhumulo zamaphoyisa eziningi la eningizimu Afrika ke lapho ke azisebenzisi istatement ke ezifanayo ama noma ama warning statement afanayo kepha basebenzisa ama warning statement ahlukile.
Now the introduction of the book of Iqabane, my lord, came under that context at a later stage because my understanding of what Advocate Mnisi was saying. Can I finish, my lord?
I am asking question. You respond to my questions. You're not here to give a story. Do you understand?
No, I don't understand, my lord. The question has been
You
asked.
never understand, Brigadier, because we have been used to that culture. I ask you one thing, you take the whole day to explain something that I've not asked her. I've never asked you about Iqabane.
I think
For now.
the witness is within his right to elaborate. He's explaining the context in which my learned friend is asking about the warning statements. Now he's explaining the context in which those warning statements came to the fore, and is also referring to that book. There's nothing wrong with it. Just giving the context, the background to the question that is being asked by Advocate Mnisi. In other words, just trying to take us back to what happened at that particular moment in time. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not even so sure, my lord, what is it that the state is saying here, because I'm specifically referring to the statement which I exhibit ZZ2, ZZ3, ZZ3A, ZZ4, ZZ5, and ZZ6. The last point that you were talking about in this statement was there's a colleague that is seated behind you who also got a statement, I think it was from Nelspruit. Unfortunately, there is no indication as to who from Nelspruit that he actually got that statement from. That is the point at which we were. We were busy with these statements, not Iqabane, not whatever. And for your information, we have stated pretty clear that you do not know what Iqabane is. You probably went out and read it and then you want to come and amend now. It's fine. the state will lead you in that regard in your cross in its examination in chief. But as for me now, I'm on this statement, not on the cover.
Athi-ke lapho ukhuluma nestatement zemibukiso ZZ2, ZZ3A, ZZ4, ZZ5 futhi no ZZ6 la khona-ke wena fakazi washo khona ngathi kunestatement siqhamuke nespread noma nasithola ke nespread kepha wakhumuli kabanzi ukuthi nasithola kubanike lapho-ke futhi umunye wabasebenzi osebenza nabo-ke okade khona hlezi la ngemuva-ke washo ukuthi uzobheka futhi abhekisise ukuthi ngabe istatement leso kade siqhamuka kubanike nespread noma ubanike owanilethela istatement leso-ke uqhamuka kwesikhumulo samaphoyisa sasenespread.
My Lord, a wrong assertion was put to me by Advocate Mnisi, and he said he was joking my memory, and he was joking it incorrectly. Now, I do not see how is it that I'm not answering what he's saying to me when I'm telling him, or rather trying to remind him of how I remember we got to where we were. It was in that context because he said he's jogging my memory of how events unfolded, and I was simply indicating as to how I remember events unfolded. And in that events, then I mentioned things that I recall, not that I'm interested in specific items, my Lord.
Athi lapho-ke nakadabuzwa-ke malana nezehlo-ke noma malana nezinto ngendlela kade zenzeka ngakhona-ke lapho-ke noma mhlawumbe kade bebheka umkhumbulo ukuthi ngabe usakhumbula kangangani-ke lapho-ke kepha kusiyona ke ndlela le umnumzana uMnisi akhuluma ngayo ukuthi izinto zenzeka ngakhona-ke.
Thank you, Brigadier. Let's go to Exhibit ZZ2. Now, it's a warning statement, and you said that statement came from, or it's written there on top of it, the gamma scope. If I'm not mistaken, actually, let me not speculate because you're there to give the answers. You said this statement again. Who did you get this statement from? Or this document from that ZZ2?
Bathi kule document elikhona-ke la ngaphambi kwakho kumnumzana manje umbuzo kuwukuthi ngabe kwenza ukuthi siqhamuka kubanike statement lesibhale the gamma scope.
My Lord, these exhibits are accompanied by statements from each and every station. So and we disclose that part. So this exhibit, the form, should be accompanied by a statement of this particular station who then gave it to Lieutenant Colonel Roth.
Athi lapho-ke kumele ukuthi ibe ne-statement-ke esiphelekeza-ke i-document leli-ke likhona-ke lana-ke leli-ke la basichazela kabanzi khona ukuthi ngabe siqhamuka kubani-ke ngaphambi ukuthi basinikezele ku-Lieutenant Colonel Roth.
May we please have received that statement that you're referring to that accompanies this document that comes from the gamma scope.
Excuse me, I didn't hear the question, my Lord. I don't understand the question.
I am saying, may we kindly receive that statement that accompanies this document from the gamma scope as you are saying.
Manje bacela ukuthi document leso-ke siphelekeza-ke document leli-ke liqhamuka statement siqhamuka i-the gamma scope.
Well, that statement has been handed up as Exhibit ZZ3 in brackets A. It's a statement of Harold Stephanus Creer. It forms part of the exhibit.
Thank you. ZZ3, there's a statement here, ZZ3, that comes from the gamma scope, ZZ2 from the gamma scope, and then ZZ3. Where does ZZ3 come from? It's written the Graf Reinet. It's written the Graf Reinet. Warning statement by suspect Graf Reinet case. Do you have that document in front of you?
No.
If you have it, can you please give us the statement that accompanies this document as well? You said all these documents, all these documents here are accompanied by statements. May you kindly have the statement that accompanies that ZZ3 from Rafrainet?
This is what we just pointed out, that it's exhibit ZZ3A. And it's also so stated in the list of exhibits that we have handed up. If one looks at just looking at the relevant entry. It's entry number 171. It says exhibit ZZ3. It's a precedent or example of a warning statement from Rafrainet police station. Then number 172, exhibit ZZ3 in brackets A, affidavit of warrant officer H.S. Creer of Rafrainet police station dated 21 January 2025 regarding the use of warning statement as per exhibit ZZ3.
Now, I'm getting a bit confused. You, on your behalf, it is said that, because I don't know who's testifying now, but on your behalf, you said that this exhibit ZZ3A relates to Rafrainet. At the same time, it was initially indicated that it also relates to Takama scope in ZZ2. So I don't know which statement related to which exhibit here, because initially it was said that ZZ3 relates, 3A relates to the document that comes from the gamma scope, and then now it also relates to ZZ3, a document that comes from Rafrainet. I don't know what is happening.
Atuyadideka futhi akazi ukuthi ngabe yini enzakalayo lamalana nodaba lama statement lamabili kakhona ngapha statement saka ZZ2 salapha eDakama scope futhi ke lapho no ZZ3 siqhamuka lapho eRafrainet uthi kahle kahle isiphi esiphelekeza esinye ke lapha noma isiphi esihambisana nesinye kule statement ezimbili ke.
My Lord, what I've said is that all the warning statements that were entered as exhibits in this court, I've arranged for the obtaining of a statement from each and every station, and such copies, meaning the warning statement form, the pro forma of a particular station accompanied by a statement from that station was obtained. Copies were made before we adjourned even to the 5th of January. Disclosed. I've made copies for the state, for the defense, gave it to them because that was the request that Advocate Mnisi asked me to do, and I complied it. So each and every form is accompanied by a statement from that particular station, because that came after it was clear that he is not comfortable with the state, with the form that is not indicating as to where it came from. So it's a warning statement accompanied by each and every statement. If I have to assist in packing that for him, then I'll try and do that. But we've made copies for the defense as well. I've made it myself from my office, my Lord, and it was then given to the state to disclose to them, my Lord.
Athi ofakazi lapho ke ukhumule khona nje athi ngemuva kokuthi noma ngaphambi ukuthi uqale lihlehliso ngelanga la nge5 ngenyaka kaJanuary ke lapho ke khona kudaba laqhamuka lama statement ke lapha ke lapho ke la ojobele ngengazi ngempendulo yakhe lada ekhuluma khona njalo ukuthizeni ke kunama statement ke ama proforma statement futhi nama warning statement ke athathwa kuma kuyikhumulo zamaphoyisa ezahlukene lapho ke futhi warning statement akhona ke kade iphelekezwa ke statement lapho esibhaliwe namhlanje affidavit affidavit ebhaliwe ke lapho ke futhi washo ukuthi khona ke njalo naye walekelela ehlangothi lezombuso ke lapho ke ekuthizeni balethele ngaphambi kwenkantolo futhi banikeze nabameli ke amakhophi walama statement lakhuluma ngawo.
Thank you, Brigadier. At least you're now trying to unpack. You made copies for each and every statement. You made copies of each and every statement that accompanies the document, statement from the police station where you received this document from. Okay. Now we've got a ZZ3 that is accompanied by ZZ3A. That is understandable. These are documents that are coming from Craft Raynet. Now, where is the statement that accompanies the document that comes from the Kamascope?
Athi ke siyabonga ke fakazi mala ukuthi ukhulike nge-statement leso saka Z3 phelekezo Z3A ke lapho ke kepha umbuzo ukuthi ngabe sikuphi yini statement esiphelekeza ke i-document leli la ka Z2 eliqhamuka ke eDakamascope warning statement.
My lord, that affidavit, according to my docket, is index SA381, and that is a statement of Lieutenant Colonel Maria Gerber. She is the branch commander for the detective in Dakamascope. So that's why I said this is what we've made and we disclose. So it's from the Dakamascope. It's 381 according to the docket, and I have the original here.
Let's show it to Panzer. Use that very page.
Athi ke ufakazi statement leso sikhona ke la ngaphambi kwenkosi yenkantolo ke uthi acela ukuthi asinikeze asetheka ngaphambi besenza ukolonial. Athi senzo uLieutenant Colonel
I don't
Gerber.
have this statement in the document that I have.
Futhi lapho bafake
For the first time, I don't know what it
381.
contains because I haven't read it. I don't have it. So which is the reason why I keep on asking, where is the statement? Because if I had it, I would not be asking you. I never had it. And you said you gave it to the state in order to disclose it to the defense. I never received it.
Athi ke umeli uthize ke statement lethi ke wasinikeza ihlangothi lezombuso kepha yena ke athi shwele ke exolisa ukuthi akakaze asithole futhi akakaze abe naso ngaphambi la yena ke ezandleni zakhe noma kuhlelo lwemibukiso ke alphethe.
And it is unprocedural for a defense to be handed over a statement in court and said, this is a statement that I'm talking about, because I need to go and study that statement, quiz it, and come and cross-examine you on it.
Athi ke indlela engajwayelekile esetshenzwa ngayo ke lekuthizini bamlethela istatement ngaphambi kwenkantolo ke ngoba kumele ahlale phansi ke asibuke futhi asifundeke bese abuya ke buza imibuzo eqhamuka kwistatement leso.
My lord, I don't know how to take this further. I was asked by Advocate Mnisi to assist in obtaining this warning statement, and I've said I will assist. I've since done so, and I've given them to the state, obviously to the defense. I was not told up to today that he does not have what he requested from me. So I don't know how best could I handle this. I've done what I was asked, and this is what I'm saying I've done, my lord.
Athakazi ukuthi ngahlambe ngabe yini ekumele ukuthi ayenzeke ngokukhethekile mangokusemandleni akhe ngoba ke noba amcela ukuthi akalekelele noma mhlambi kasizeke ekuthizeni kathola ama statement futhi ke nama warning statement lawo ke kepha ke nawakuthola ke lokho ke ngemuva ekutholile ke bese kunikeza la ngaphambi kwenkosi yenkantolo mhlaba ngaphambi komshushisi ekuthizeni ke ummeli akutholile lokho ke akazi ke nodaba loloke futhi akazi angamlekelela kanjani ke.
I also don't know, because that this was never disclosed to me specifically who represents accused number, who has been representing accused number 3 then, who is now also representing accused number 1. I never received that information.
Athi naye
The same, I'm sorry.
Athi naye ke ummeli akazi ukuthi angakulungisa kanjani ke lokho kepha ukhumqathi qala kadameleke umsola wesithathu kepha ke manje sekamele ke futhi unomsola oqala kepha akakaze ke athole lokho.
The same goes to Exhibit ZZ4, a statement, a document that comes from Nell Sprate. I don't have its accompanying affidavit.
Athi lokho kuyafana ke futhi nestatement eqhamuka ke lapho ke Nelspruit yena akanalo ke affidavit alitholile mayelana nestatement leso ke.
The same goes to
Mr. Mnisi, where are we going with this evidence? Because as I understand and follow the evidence, it starts from that form which you've submitted. What is it? SAM13, is it?
yes.
Right. And that is a form which purports to be used, according to you, for the obtaining of warning statements. Is that not so?
Excuse me, my lord. There was a bit of a noise coming from that
That
side.
form, SAM 13, you stated that it is the only form which is utilized for the obtaining of warning statements.
Yes, my lord.
Right. Now, Brigadier Gininda said to you that in his view, they don't use that form.
Yes,
It's not a standard peremptory form.
yes,
There are several versions of the form.
yes,
And then you text him and said, show me any other forms.
yes.
And then he goes out, he finds all those other forms, which he says are utilized also for warning statements.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, where are we going to? Because he's done it.
Now, where are we
To
going
read, wait, to read what an accused person is, that Thomas Stato, how does it affect the case here? How does it affect the case? Prof. Renet, Mr. Newman, maybe you can assist. How does it assist us?
My lord, I'm sorry, I can't answer that one.
Okay, fine. Because as far as I'm concerned, that was the question. But now to interrogate warning statements made in Mahoa's True, etc., etc., how does it help with this case we're busy with?
If I may respond, madam.
Yes, please.
Number one, I'm not even so certain that these forms are coming from the places where they are coming from.
Fine, then put it to this witness.
Without accompanying affidavits. And this witness is saying, subsequent to me having raised that, he made an endeavor to go get the accompanying affidavits and says he gave it to the state in order to disclose it to us. I'm just don't know why was that not done. That is the reason why I keep on probing this, my lord. But further to that, my lord, this will form the broader part of my argument at the end of the day.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
So I also need those accompanied affidavits as well to form the broader part of my argument at the end of the case. It is just not that I only want this statement for the sake of, those statements for the sake of wanting them. I am busy preparing my argument.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
But the witness has answered you. You can prepare your argument, there's no problem.
Yes.
Because otherwise we'll be here until Nelson Mandela is resurrected.
Kade itsho khona inkosi enkantolo ukuthi kade ibuza kumnumzana uMnisi ukuthi ngabe kahle kahle siyakuphi mara nodaba lolu ke ngoba ke khona ke iform lena ababithi AM 13 ukuthi yona ke iform abajwayele ukuthi besebenzise ngaphansi kwesiphoyisa ke uma ngabe bethatha kama statement kepha ke wathi ufakazi cha akusinjalo ke ngoba khona ke ama form ahlukile futhi izikhumulo zamaphoyisa ke eziningi zisebenzisa kama form ahlukile ke lapho ukuthi zeni bethatha ama statement ke futhi waphendula ngophendula ke umnumzana uMnisi wathi yena ke lapho akanaso isiqiniseko esigcwele esukuthi ke ngabe ke ama warning statement anaqhamuka kule izikhumulo zamaphoyisa ke abayibhalile kuzona ke ngoba ke akukho la akukhona ke uhlelo lwama affidavit oluphelekezwa ke ama warning statement lana ke futhi washo khona nje uma ngabe ehamba ke noma uma ngabe senza ke uhlelo lakhe lemibuzo ke ukuthi na ke uyayilungiselela malana nenkulumo mpikiswano eyokuthi ke ibe khona ke kuhlangothi lakhe kuma sikalethe icala ngaphambi kwinkosi enkantolo.
Now, my lord, I don't know how are we going to go through this impasse, because Brigadier Gininda is saying the state is in possession of those statements and the state is quiet. He has been objecting all along. Now, all of a sudden, Brigadier Gininda says the state are in his possession, then the state is quiet. It does not even stand up and say, yeah, no, I've got this statement, I will hand it over to the defense. I don't know how to get over this impasse, because definitely I need to get those statements.
As a complete, I thought Advocate Mnisi was moving away from that point, but as it's time for the short adjournment, can we take the short adjournment at this point?
Okay.